One lazy summer day is much like the next down here in rural Georgia, the days blending in the breeze like one long, slow sigh beneath the weight of the sun. One such fateful occasion unfolded beneath that heavy southern heat. The air was thick with the promise of something lurking just beyond the haze of another endless afternoon. I found myself rather restless, and in a bid to shake off the unease, I decided to take a drive, lowering the top on my Austin Healey 3000 and letting the warm wind whip through my hair as I set off on a new adventure. It's near impossible to take the same route twice on these winding country roads. Each turn seems to lead somewhere new, as if the land itself shifts beneath the tires, always eager to reveal a hidden path or forgotten place. I lost track of time as the road ahead wound through Georgia's endless fields, the landscape rolling out like a forgotten dream, every mile carrying me deeper into the heart of nowhere. That's when I stumbled upon something unexpected. Rising up from the horizon, framed by towering oak trees draped in Spanish moss, was an old plantation house. Its once proud silhouette loomed dark and foreboding against the pale sky, like a relic from another time, its walls thick with the whispers of the past. It stood there, haunting and still, as if the house had been holding its breath for centuries, waiting. I couldn't resist. Curiosity tugged at me, and I decided to explore the old plantation house, drawn to it as if by some unseen force. The moment I stepped inside, the air changed. The house loomed large and hollow, its grand presence oppressive and unsettling, as though it were watching me, judging me. Dust floated lazily through shafts of muted sunlight, catching on the decaying elegance of the place. The walls, once vibrant, now dulled with age and neglect, held stories I wasn't sure I was ready to hear. I wandered upstairs to the upper level, where the air felt heavier. In the hallway, I noticed what appeared to be a closet door, the wood warped with age. Drawn by a strange compulsion, I pulled it open and discovered a narrow staircase. It creaked beneath the weight of each step, groaning as though the house resented my intrusion. At the top, I found a large, dimly lit attic room. The only light came from a small circular window at the far end, casting long shadows over the forgotten remnants of another time. Boxes were piled high, covered in a thick layer of dust, and old furniture stood shrouded in yellowed sheets. The atmosphere was stifling, heavy with the weight of untold stories. Something about the room felt different. I was no longer simply in a house. It felt like I had stepped into the past. I noticed an old steamer trunk pushed against the wall. It was covered in dark leather, its brass clasps tarnished with age. I knelt down, my fingers trembling as I undid the rusted latches. Inside was a treasure trove of artifacts from lives long forgotten. Delicate lace dresses, tarnished silver candlesticks, and stacks of faded letters tied with ribbon. But what caught my attention the most was a small leather journal. Its cover was soft and worn, and the pages within had yellowed with time. Every inch of each page had been filled, front and back, with the hurried handwriting of a woman long dead. The words seemed to call to her, whispering of secrets that had been buried for well over a century. I sat back on my heels and began to read. The journal belonged to Amanda Matthews, the wife of a wealthy plantation owner in the 1840s South. Her entries described her life in vivid detail: lavish parties, strict hierarchies, the daily routine of running a grand home. Flipping through the pages, the tone darkened. There were mentions of strange things happening on the grounds, whispers of slaves practicing voodoo in secret, of dark rituals conducted out by the pond, deep in the woods where no one would find them. One name appeared over and over again: Isaiah. At first, he was just another slave, but something about him set him apart. Amanda wrote that Isaiah was different, that he was feared, even by the other slaves. They believed he had power, that he could speak to spirits, that he had the ability to curse those who wronged him. Isaiah had been caught stealing chickens for one of their rituals, and his master had made an example of him. The journal's handwriting grew shakier as it described Isaiah's brutal punishment. He had been dragged out in front of the others, tied to a post, and beaten. The plantation owner had wanted to make sure everyone understood what happened to those who defied him. They beat Isaiah until his body was broken, left him out in the open to rot under the Georgia sun as a warning. The final entry in the journal chilled me to my core. "They thought they could erase him," Amanda wrote, her fear palpable through the ink. "But Isaiah isn't gone. He lingers. He waits." My breath caught in my throat. I, too, had felt it. The sense that something was still here, something watching from the shadows. I closed the journal and rose to my feet, the creak of the floorboards beneath me, loud in the otherwise oppressive silence. The house felt different now, darker, as if it had been holding its secrets in for too long, and now they were starting to slip free. As I descended the hidden staircase, the air grew colder. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and goosebumps prickled up and down my arms. A faint sound echoed through the house. Low, rhythmic chanting, like voices carried on the wind. I froze, my heart hammering in my chest. The chanting grew louder, more insistent, and with it came the distinct smell of burning wood and smoke, as if a fire had been lit somewhere deep within the house. I could hear the crackle of the flames now, and shadows flickered on the walls, moving in time with the chanting. It was as though I was watching the remnants of some forgotten ritual. Her mind raced back to the journal, the voodoo rituals the slaves had performed in secret, the way they called upon dark spirits. Suddenly, a heavy thud sounded behind me. I turned, eyes wide, and saw the outline of a figure in the darkness, a tall, imposing shadow at the top of the stairs. Isaiah. I ran, my heart lodged in my throat, the pounding of my feet against the old wooden floors drowned out by the encroaching sound of chanting. It was a rhythmic, haunting echo that seemed to follow me, reverberating through the dim hallways as if the very walls were alive. Each door I passed slammed shut behind me with a sharp finality, as if the house itself were trying to trap me within its grasp, pulling me deeper into its dark and twisted history. By the time I reached the front door, whispers surrounded me, a sinister chorus hissing my name, urging me to stay, to turn back. Panic surged through me as I yanked the heavy door open, stumbling outside into the overgrown garden, where wild vines and brambles clawed at my legs. Gasping for air, I fled into the humid embrace of the outside world, desperate to escape the oppressive presence of the plantation house. Behind me, the structure loomed large and foreboding against the stormy sky, its once proud facade now a sinister prison, concealing the anguished souls trapped within its decaying walls. The air crackled with an energy that made my skin prickle as I collapsed to my knees, breathless and shaken, staring back at the ominous silhouette. The chanting had ceased, but I could still feel the weight of Isaiah's presence lingering just beyond my line of sight, a palpable force, watching, waiting. What had once been a symbol of wealth and power had transformed into a tomb for the dark secrets it harbored. And now, those secrets were awake, hungry for retribution,